Hi, this is Fox back again for sound design tutorials. Back up and running. I've had to get a new mic for some reason. My AT2020 just gave up the ghost. But hey ho, we're back up and running. I got a request today. This one is by Pedro Melo. It was for Sugar Star featuring Alexander Hey Sunshine. It's another Croatia squad bass. He asked me to do it with whatever managed to get it done, and that was Serum. This is the patch. This is the sound, sorry. There'll be a link in the description to this so you can compare the bass exactly. So yeah, I'll show you the sound. This is it with a little beat. There you go, lovely deep house bass with Serum. I'll just say quickly, this patch is free to download in the description. If you want to make this patch exactly, you will need to download the wavetable, which will be in the download folder with the patch. The reason for that is it is a waveform that I've imported from the Virus. It is the Virus square wave in its purest form. No effects, no analog, or nothing on it. As you can see from the waveform in this, the Virus square has some very, very unique little fuzzy bits which makes it sound totally different to a normal square wave. I'll quickly go ahead and initialize this. I'll show you the basic square. So this is the basic square, Virus square. Tends to react a little bit better to the higher notes. It's a really nice wavetable. So there's nothing to it. You can't sweep through the wavetable. It's just a single cycle waveform I've imported and then processed inside Serum. But as I say, this Virus square is available for you to download in the description. You will need it if you want to make this patch. Just drag it into your user folder where your wavetables are stored, and it's yours to use whenever you want. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and initialize this once again, and I'm going to show you how I made it. Once I've got everything ready. So yeah, oscillator 1, this comes from the basic saw wave that you get. 2 octaves down. 4 voices unison, detuned slightly to about 0.12. We'll set up the main amp envelope. This is going to give us a plucky feel to the sound before we do any modulation with a filter. So you want no sustain, decay of about 900 milliseconds, and attack of 0.5. Okay, oscillator B, as I said earlier, in your user folder, once you've got it in there, it should show Virus square. Down 2 octaves, 3 voices unison for this, detune round about the same, 0.12. Phase for this square I'd offset slightly so it's starting halfway through one of the squarey bits. Sub oscillator, as always, 2 octaves down, volume on full. We want that to go direct out, bypassing all the filters, all the effects. We're going to do modulation on these two. We'll set that up right at the end. What do we need to do now? We're going to set up the filter. So with all of these deep house basses, it is a low pass 24 filter with these real snappy envelopes that you can use inside Serum. It's just an absolute dream. We're going to drive it, make it fatter. Use envelope 2 to do all the work. So drag it, drop it on the cutoff starting point. That's just made that bipolar for some reason. Make sure it's unipolar so that the direction of the modulation is only going one way. That arrow is to the right. So we want it to go quite heavy. We want it to bring quite a lot of the high harmonics in and then close it off pretty quickly. So no sustain again. Decay is how you control the length of the note in effect. No attack. Make sure A and B are both going into the filter. These curves, again, they're really brilliant. You need to make sure that the curve is down quite a way, about a quarter of the way up from the bottom. Nice and easy, nice and straightforward. The only thing I did in the effects section was used an EQ. I kept it on the low shelf sort of thing. I boosted the gain just to give us a bit of boost on the lows. Q wasn't so steep. Frequency around about 146. And then just to accentuate the plucky sort of style of this patch, I introduced a high pass filter. Control click the Q so it went back to dead. No, it doesn't. Q dead on 50%. Frequency starting point around about 318. And use this same plucky envelope to open this up. Pretty much the same as what the filter's doing. So there you have a deep house bass in itself. Nothing too crazy. This light's doing my head in. I need to put something over that. It's making my face look like bloody something out of Star Wars. So yeah, that's a deep house bass in itself. If you've seen me do a few of these lately though, you know that if you introduce FM from a sub, when a sub oscillator is a sine on -2 and on full, it's like a magic grit button. So I'll introduce it just on oscillator A to start with. They're normally all pretty much the same. I generally don't go above 25%. When we introduce it on oscillator B, this is where it really comes into play. I did something a little bit different on this. I started it around about 17%. And I use macro 1, which is this knob here. If you drag it, drop it on the FM from sub. And then the macro knob I pushed round to +11. So when the macro knob's closed, the FM from the sub is having little effect. As we dial the macro knob round, it's going to introduce the grit onto oscillator B, which really makes the sound zing. What you can do to give the sound a little bit more snap as well is introduce a filter to the resonance. You're not generally going to want it too high, roughly about 24, 25. Turn the macro down, it's going to make it less gritty and more deep. I'd like to have it full open, getting the full use of the FM from the sub. So yeah, that's it. I did create a little sub layer. I'm not going to go into too much detail what that is. I'll just show you it quickly. The sub is 2 virus squares, 1 2 octaves down, 1 an octave down, a sub oscillator 2 down again, a sine wave volume on full, just an envelope, not an envelope, just a filter cut off around 285 Hz, so it's very, very low. This is a sub on its own. And virus squares again, making full use of the hollow sound of them to create the sub. So the two together with that little beat again. Cool macro 1 grit. I'm going to save this. Croatia squad bass. There you have it, Croatia squad style deep house bass with Serum. As I said, link in the description, get this patch and the free Virus Square wavetable to use when you're making your own deep house basses. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe up here if you've enjoyed this or any of my other tutorials. I'll be back with more very soon. Thanks.